Can I have a motion to approve the minutes? Sharon, a second. Terry, any additions or corrections? Okay, all in favor say aye. Oh, aye. Okay, next we have to have a motion to let Eden attend by phone. Linda, a second. Sharon, okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Welcome, Eden.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, first on our agenda is the budget book, the green pages. I'll turn it over. Do we have to do a motion on this one? Okay. Sharon, motion to put it on. Linda for second. Andrew? Andrew or Scott?
Going to be me, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
Scott.
All right, we've got a short slide deck to walk through real quick, and then we're happy to answer any questions of the committee. So first up, this is sources and uses. Sources are where the money comes from, and you can see there's a variety of categories. Uses are where the money goes. There's different types of categories. You'll see for across the entire organization and all funds, the recommended budget is balanced at $157.9 million. If you look at just the general fund, it's also balanced at $60.3 million. This committee has oversight of one general fund department and one special revenue fund. For FY25, that means that the oversight is just a shade over $493,000 in revenues and not quite $725,000 in expenditures. This slide just kind of gives you a little bit of a historical perspective of both revenues and expenditures from what this committee does have oversight of over that period of time. You can see as an example, intergovernmental revenue, as the Planning and Zoning Department has been able to successfully obtain grants, has ebbed and flowed. They get a grant, they use those dollars, and then it goes away until they're able to get another grant. You can see that pretty clearly on the revenue side. On the expenditure side, you can see also that the dark blue line at the top is personnel expenditures. The one that does move up and down is lighter blue, medium blue line, and that is contractual services. So there's, when they do for example, when they maybe get a roofing grant or a home rehabilitation grant, those dollars go out the door while we have the grant, and then when we don't have the grant, you can see it, they go almost to zero. Where does this committee's oversight line up with the other committees? Across the entire organization and all funds, the $493,000 is less than 1%, so that's why it says zero. And the $724,856 is also less than 1%. So less than 1% of the revenues and the expenditures of the entire budget come through this committee. As it relates to the general fund, you have about 1% of both the revenues and the expenditures in the general fund. And that is the slide deck. Mr. Chairman, we're happy to answer any questions that the committee might have.
Thank you, Scott. Is there any questions? Sharon?
Can we cover the part-time plumber inspection? So what are the plans to do for 2025?
Great question, Ms. Williams. I'm going to let either Heather and or Andrew give you detail on that.
I'm happy to answer that question, Scott and Member Williams. At this point, we have been utilizing the services of the state of Illinois.
Hey, Andrew, speak into the microphone a little bit more so that Eden can hear you.
Thank you. At this point, we've been utilizing the services of the state of Illinois. The Department of Public Health does have a state licensed inspector that is willing to provide those services for the county. He also provides those services for, I believe, 14 or 15 other counties throughout the state. We have not been able to identify someone who's interested in working part-time under the terms that we've been able to provide. So in the future, should we need to, we would come back before this board to perhaps request a contractual service to cover inspections. but we haven't had anything expressed which would kind of lead us to believe that that's the case at this time.
Any other questions? Okay, now we don't do any voting on this, we do.
You do need to vote
We
on
do
this,
need to
yes.
vote, okay.
Ms. Williams, you didn't want to ask your fund balance question that you're asking all the other, okay, just making sure.
Linda?
I just had a comment, and that is that in going over this budget, I really commend Andrew's leadership and his mindfulness of both personnel and expenditures. But that we had many, many more department heads that did equally as well. So I think you've done a very good job.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Andrew, ditto for me for what Linda just said. She said it much nicer, much better, so I'll just say stop right there. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously. Okay, next we have the Planning and Zoning Grant Fund. Is that you, Andrew? Or is that? Up, excuse me, we need to put that up, motion to put that on the floor. Linda, second. Terry? Okay. Who's taking the Planning and Zoning Grant Fund?
There's no revenues other than interest income from what's in the fund balance, and there's no expenditures recommended. Should planning and zoning be awarded a grant at some point in FY25, they'll come back with a budget amendment as part of that grant award, and that'll have both revenues and expenditures tied to that grant award.
Okay, so we go ahead and vote on this also, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried unanimously. Moving on to the reports, we have the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission minutes. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, unsafe structures, any questions? Development summary. Okay, and the quarterly strategic plan update. Any questions on that? Okay, we'll file and receive those reports. Next, we have a zoning case, number ZBA-2024-0066, petition of Chad Zeich. Can I have a motion to put that on the floor? Linda, a second? Matt, thank you. Okay, Andrew?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is 3 special use requests, all in one case. We have a special use as requested in section 20.7.3.2.3 of the Unified Development Ordinance, which requires that a home occupation in the A2 zoning district must be conducted entirely within a dwelling or an accessory structure. Also a request from 20-7.3.5.8, which requires that no vehicle exceeds a gross vehicle weight of 8,000 pounds. The third request is from section 20-7.3.5.9, which allows for only 1 vehicle and 2 trailers or pieces of equipment, which must be stored in a dedicated accessory structure. The petitioner, who is present, proposes to operate Big Z Trucking, which is a commercial materials delivery business at this location. The subject parcel is located at 4823 South Hathaway in Logan Township. He is proposing the outdoor storage of 1 semi-truck and trailer with a combined gross vehicle weight of 73,280 pounds, 1 pickup truck with a gross vehicle weight of 26,000 pounds, 1 flatbed trailer with a gross vehicle weight of 16,000 pounds, and 2 skid steers. Materials such as gravel, dirt, and fill will occasionally be stored at the property as well. The petitioner states that the semi leaves the subject parcel in the morning, loads product at terminals or construction sites, delivers the product to customers, then returns to the subject parcel at the end of the day, where the vehicles and trailers would be stored outside, approximately 300 feet off the road and out of the site from the view of adjacent residential properties. There are 0 consents and there were 3 objections at the Zoning Board of Appeals. The objectors voiced concerns regarding dust and road use, indicating that the road was gravel until a few years ago and that heavy vehicle traffic could result in damage to the road, causing accessibility issues to their properties. The Logan Road Commissioner submitted a letter of objection as part of this case, indicating that due to the nature of the business, the road will not hold up to traffic, and recourse includes posting weight limits and or returning the road to its previous gravel state. In accordance with the 2024 IDOT size and weight laws, the maximum weight limit for vehicles on all highways is 80,000 pounds unless posted. Mr. Zeich's proposal is less than 80,000 pounds. Hathaway Lane is currently posted as a 16,000 pound road from February 15th through May 15th. The petitioner has indicated he has secured an alternate location for his vehicles and equipment during this time frame and is aware of the proposed restriction that failure to abide by any posted weight limits will result in the home occupation being void. Staff did recommend approval with 3 restrictions. The first being that they will need to renew annually, or if the home occupation ceases when the resident moves away from the property. The second is that as part of the annual renewal, the zoning administrator shall verify the home occupation continues to meet all standards set in place by the ordinance. And then number 3, the aforementioned failure to abide by any posted weight limits will result in the home occupation being void. The Zoning Board of Appeals did recommend denial by a vote of 2 to 3. It was based on the road use concerns of the objectors. I'm happy to answer any questions, and again, the petitioner is present.
Thank you. Any questions for Andrew? Terry?
Andrew, are these, is the request in line with others that we have granted in the past?
Yes, we've had a series of major home occupations for trucking businesses, 2024, 2023. They're becoming more and more frequent, but yes, it is in line. A major home occupation is allowed in an ag district if you're on 5 acres or greater. So he's allowed to have a major home occupation. It's just the 3 requests that he can't meet, and that's why this request is before the board.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Matt?
So I guess I'd follow up. I was out. I've got multiple complaints from. I'm assuming it's one of them. I know is one of the neighbors. I was out there myself, and I drove it. It is a nice. I mean, it's a nice road going back there. It's a nice neighborhood, nice place. All of the neighbors, everybody around, the only complaint is the worry for the road. I've reached out. I know Joel, the road commissioner. I know that that's the biggest concern is the road, but I don't see how we can, I don't think we can control the road. He's within his legal grounds. It seemed like the neighborhood relationship was well. There was no complaints for the noise, the traffic, or any of the complaints that I would have figured would grant not being in a neighborhood. But with that, I guess my biggest thing is that I'm gonna support this. I'm on both sides of this. This is pretty close to me, but I would say just respect that road weight. It's your road too. And I think the neighbors sometimes forget that too. I think that Chad wants just as nice of a road as anybody else, but just respect that. And I will support this.
Sharon?
So just to clarify, if we vote yes, we're voting to deny it. Clarify that for me, please, if you could.
Sure. The resolution is drafted as an approval of the special use, which is in line with staff recommendations. ZBA did deny, and so it could have been written as the resolution could have been written to affirm the denial, but it was written as an approval of the special use. So when you are voting, you would be voting yes to approve the special use. You will vote no if you want to deny the special use. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Along with Matt, is there a way that why didn't they have them maybe yearly put up a bond to protect that road? I mean, was that not represented or anything?
I think that would have had to been a negotiation between the petitioner and the road official. I'm not privy to that
Okay.
conversation as to whether that occurred. or not.
Okay, all right.
I talked to Joel on that, so that road is posted, I mean, it's a 80,000, and then he does have it posted in the spring, which everything that he's doing is well under that. You know how we get our oversize and all that, he's way under all of those. So as long as he's under that and abides by the postings, I'm good with it.
To address that, if I may, I don't think there can be any fairness in asking for a bond from one user of a road, but not from everyone else. Anyone could damage that road. So it would seem discriminatory to me to ask for bonding from one user.
Well, to that, occasionally you do that, but it's when you're over the posted rating, where he is well under the posted rating, you follow me?
Any other questions or comments?
Paul, I just want to make
Jimmy?
a comment. So good questions. Thanks to legal counsel for clearing that up. But I think, again, today shows a good example of having a Mr. Kelch and Mr. Windish as road commissioners as their other hat also on this board to add some insight. So Matthew, I know you went above and beyond doing some extra asking for it, so appreciated. And like Terry says, I think we have a long history of approving home use occupations for this. Plus, at the end of the day, it's a 1-year renewable for as long as they have it. If it's in violation, it gets pulled, and there is protection there for everybody. So with that, I'll be supporting this one.
Okay, Jenny, is there anything you'd like to add to this?
Happy to answer any procedural questions on this since we are voting against the recommendation of the ZBA. The findings of fact, as you all know, come from the ZBA. They're the ones who heard testimony. They're the ones who came up with the findings of fact. But your vote can still be to approve that special use if you believe the findings of fact support an approval. So again, happy to answer specific questions, but that's the...
So with that, I would say my aye vote is finding of the facts and their support and our history of supporting these leads to an affirmative for this position, if that helps. Do I need to say that? So during our history of supporting these, plus the finding of facts, would lead to support him having the special use for home occupation that are found in here. Because I didn't see anything in there that was written as a negative to not deny it. It was written in the affirmative as Andrew did with the support.
And that's a good, succinct way of saying what your job is here. Your job is to look at those findings of fact and say and vote whether or not you think those findings of fact support approval or denial. So that's what you're doing. You're looking at those and making your individual vote.
So is everybody clear with this? A yes vote is for Mr. Zeig. A no vote is against approving it for Mr. Zeig, correct? So, any other questions? Okay, we'll call the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anybody for oppose? Okay, motion passed unanimously. Okay, next we have resolutions, bid 18-05-24, demolition of unsafe structures. Can I have a motion? Linda? Sharon for a second? Okay, Andrew?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a bid award for Phase 2 of our demolition of unsafe structures under the Illinois Housing Development Authority's Strong Community Programs. Earlier this year, we were able to knock down 5 unsafe structures. So this is for an additional 3 homes at a total bid price of $45,449.83. The lowest responsible bidder is Jim Max out of Peoria. They were our vendor for round 1. And I will point out that each month we present to you the unsafe structures report, and these 3 properties have been listed on that unsafe structures report for a number of years, and it was only a matter of securing funding. So with the assistance of the State's Attorney's Office, we've secured demolition orders on these properties. The county will not absorb any maintenance costs. We are not purchasing these properties. We are simply demolishing the unsafe structures that lie on private property.
Thank you, Andrew. Any questions? Andrew, do you have an idea how many that we've demolished over the last 10, 15 years, and how many more, when funds become available, do we need to get rid of?
Part two to that question, it's always a rolling list. As property owners, as county board members, as someone calls in, we investigate those properties. Unsafe structure essentially is something that causes an imminent threat to the safety of the neighborhood. So they can be in rural areas, but primarily we're looking at more highly densely populated areas. I would say historically we're probably in the range of 25 to 30. At times it is funded by the county in the case of emergencies. We're proactively looking for grant dollars every single year. This program has been pretty sustainable in that this is really our third round of funding through it. It was previously called the Abandoned Property Program, but we'll continue to chase these dollars as long as they're available.
Thank you, and congratulations on finding those dollars for us and getting the job done, because some of them are pretty unsightly and extremely dangerous. Okay, any other questions? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously. Any public comment for today? Okay, anything from miscellaneous? Oh, Andrew?
I normally would make a public comment, but on November 7th, we have an open house for the FEMA and National Flood Insurance Program flood maps. Peoria County has not had new flood maps since 1983. These are digital flood maps that will have no jurisdictional boundaries. So previously on our maps, there'd be a big blank space for any jurisdictional boundary as of 1983. As you know, jurisdictions change based on annexations. So we're excited for this opportunity and for these maps to come into effect. So please share that information with your constituents if they live in flood-prone areas. I would say the majority of folks are going to benefit from these maps, but there certainly are areas that I think the flood risk has increased over time. So November 7th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Peoria Public Library in the basement. There'll be representatives from FEMA and the National Flood Insurance Program, and we'll have an opportunity to look at these maps, and then a commenting window will open.
Thank you.
The downtown branch.
And we'll have that on the website too, right, Scott? And Facebook and all that? Okay, wonderful. Any other public comments? Sharon?
So I brought this up in the past, but I still want to give a shout out to Andrew. The Limestone Township Supervisor, myself, and their attorney meet quarterly to discuss problem properties in the Limestone Township area. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Andrew because he does a lot of work for us in trying to correct these problems.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Sharon, for bringing that up. Any other miscellaneous for anybody? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.